Dads.
Are you a ridge chip guy or a classic chip guy?
Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. That's a question. I'm classic. I don't really. First off, don't eat many chips. Second off, when I do, they're not ridged.
Point of clarification. Do you not eat chips like the traditional potato chip, like flavored, non-flavored, whatever? Or are you not like a salty snack kind of guy?
I'm definitely not a salty snack kind of guy.
Okay.
Um, I do like a good chip every once in a while. Um, but I don't like eat chips on a daily basis by any means.
Interesting.
But out of all of that, I do not go ruffled or ridged.
All right. I am a salty snack connoisseur, as we have discussed previously.
Oh,
I'm a snack guy.
yes,
Um,
you are snacking.
and it's funny. I have Trader Joe's Ridge chips on my desk for my lunch today. Um,
Oh, okay.
and I was thinking as I was eating them, I was like, I don't know if I have a real preference. I feel like that's something people make such a big
Yeah.
deal out of. Especially we were '90s kids. We remember the Ruffles that has ridges commercials. The one that they were really trying to
Right.
push the, hey, look, we bent this chip. Isn't that cool?
We made it crinkly.
Yeah. Uh, and I don't have a big preference. I will say if I'm dipping, if I'm putting a chip in a dip, I prefer the ridged for the reasons that they
Yeah.
designed it
Makes
for,
sense.
right? Like
Yeah.
you get more dip on your chip. Um, yeah. But if I like, I don't know a scenario when somebody would be like, "Do you want flat or ridged chips?" But I guess I would go flat if given the option.
I'm definitely a flat guy. I'm a kettle cooked guy. If I have my option, I'm
Big
going
fan of the
kettle
kettle
cooked.
cooked.
And jalapeno or salt and vinegar are typically my two that I go with. But if that's not available, I'm just like a regular barbecue chip kind of guy. Just give me some barbecue chips,
I'm a,
and I'll be good.
I'm a chip flavor wise. I'm a barbecue chip guy. Um, I
Yeah.
think you would be proud at how often I eat jalapeno chips. For
Yeah?
the, I I don't find jalapeno chips to be spicy, right? Like
No.
my problem with jalapeno chips is never that they're too hot for me to eat while I'm eating, because like the shout out Michigan companies, the Better Made hot chip that they have is way hotter than any jalapeno chip.
I've never had the Better Made hot chip.
It is very hot though.
Mm.
Like up there with the remember when they took flaming hot Cheetos and said, "What if we made it burn your face off?" and made like the extra flaming hot Cheeto or whatever?
I do
Um
remember that.
I would say like the Better Made hot chip one is like on
Ooh,
par
that
with that.
sounds good. I tell you what's a good chip. Kettle makes a pepperoncini chip
I
that is like jalapeno and salt and vinegar mixed. Is kind of the similar or the way to describe it. It tastes like a pepperoncini. If you know like a banana
Yeah.
pepper or pepperoncini, it tastes like that. But it's a good chip. That's a good chip right there.
My
Um,
my confession to you in the world is that I'm a Funyun eater. Big fan of Funyuns.
listen here. I believe Flamin' Hot Funyuns are God's gift to this earth.
I haven't tried the flaming hot ones,
I
and I need to next time because they only came out like not too long ago, like maybe a year or two ago. Um, but I need to venture into the flaming hot Funyun.
Oh, it's a good snack. It's a good snack. I'm a big fan of Flamin' Hot, and I'm a big fan of Flamin' Hot Funyuns. Um, back in the day when I was a depressy boy, when I painted houses,
Oh yeah,
after a long depressing day, I would go and my comfort food because I was poor was still poor. Let's not change that.
well
Still
yeah.
not doing when I was poorer. Um, my comfort food was going to the gas station and getting a chocolate milk and a bag of Southern Heat barbecue chips
Mm-hmm.
and eating those on my way home from painting. And boy, howdy, is that good.
The chocolate milk with that chip combination sounds terrible. I'm gonna be honest with you, it sounds awful. I It's just two very different and strong flavors coming together.
Welcome to Big Dad Energy, the journey of parenting and adulting through the eyes of two young dads. I'm your co-host, Joe Lopez, and with me, as always, is my co-dad, Jared Shedmansky. Jared, how the heck are you?
Joseph, I am physically and emotionally exhausted.
Buddy, it's been 2 weeks since we've recorded, and so much has happened in these 2 weeks.
It is. I was thinking about this today when I was at work. I was like, man, I feel like I need a couple days off work just to like regroup. And then I was like, I have only been working for like 4 weeks. It is the first week of February. I can't just already be burnt out at work. It's just, there's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to run. You got work all day and kids all night, and work all day and kids all night. There's nowhere to go.
Oh, it's a rough life to live. I wanna start off with the elephant in the room. Last time we talked, the Lions were about to play for the NFC Championship.
They were.
And it's 2 weeks later, and they're still not in the Super Bowl.
I said on
Which
this
sucks.
podcast that I would just go in being appreciative of where the Lions were and what happened this season. And I was for the first Lions touchdown, for the second Lions touchdown, for the third Lions touchdown, for the field goal before halftime. I was so appreciative. So just like
Appreciated the hell out of it.
appreciated the hell out of this season. 24-7, like just feeling good, feeling real good,
feeling real good. First touchdown in the first 2 minutes of the quarter.
I missed the first touchdown because I was putting Ben to bed.
I yelled so loud during that first touchdown.
It was so quick that like they kicked off and I was like, all right, Ben. He was actually laying on the couch. We made a deal. I was like, you can watch a little bit of the football game, but we're not going to read any books. And he said, that's fine. So he's laying on the couch. And then he did what toddlers do. And when they're ready for bed, they just start wiggling and, grooving all over the place. I'm like, all right.
Right.
Time to go to bed. They were driving. I was like, oh, I'll pull it up on my phone once I turn the light off. Go in there. Of course, we have to read one little book. Read a little book. Turn the light off, pull my phone up. The score's already 7-0. I was like, how did this even happen?
Yeah.
And it just like so good. My dad's texting me like, I can't believe this is gonna happen. I can't believe like what is going on. And at halftime, I'm like, let's just sim to the end of the game. It'll be better for my health. Let's just call it here. Just game over.
Yep.
Lions go to the Super Bowl. Then the second half happens. The Lions lose in a heartbreak, lose by 3 points. It was brutal. Don't get me wrong. It was brutal. I am now 2 weeks later at a place where I'm appreciative of what happened this season. It helps that we're returning both coordinators because that was a big worry about this is that we were going to get a whole new offense, maybe a whole new offense and defense. Like, worrying, things like that. But so I'm in a much better spot now. But I will say, I didn't open Twitter on Monday. I didn't open YouTube.
I bet.
I didn't open Twitter. Because the thing about, these smart algorithms that are feeding you the content that you want are great when you want that content. There are days where, you know what? Feed me every single Lions video you got, highlights, lowlights, whatever it is, feed it to me. I want to see it. And over the last 6 months, I have curated all my algorithms to feed me Lions and football content.
Right.
And the last thing I wanted that day was to think or talk about football.
Yeah, for sure. I had a call the next day, and it's a national call, so I had people all over the country talking. And one of the guys, like, I just kind of jumped into the call. I lead the call, so I just kind of started it off. And one of the guys was like, "Wait, you don't want to talk about yesterday?" And I was like,
"No,
it's not the time.
No, I don't.
It's not the time."
I
Um,
it was just, you know, not to get too deep about football, but I was just sad. Not sad at what happened, not even sad necessarily about, I was just like sad that it was over, if I'm being honest. Like it
yeah,
that's what it was. I was just like, man,
I
I'm sad I'm sad this run is over because it was so amazing. Like so many things happened.
yeah, and I was sad that Detroit, like, they did amazing. Detroit loved every minute of watching their Lions play. Um, I'm sad that Detroit didn't get to have that
Yeah.
Cinderella amazing ending, right? Um, because in my mind, the cinematic way my brain works is like, just that's the best, most amazing underdog story, right? And next year, amazing. We're still gonna do great. We might do the same thing, but it's not gonna be as sweet because we were this good this year, you know?
The storylines alone this year, like first NFC championship ever because it was the NFC Central last time we won a division. First
Yeah,
NFC North championship. First home playoff game win in 30 years, and it's against our former quarterback. Like fairy tale stuff.
right.
Fairy tale stuff. We get a second playoff game for the first time ever. Second home playoff game for the first time ever. Win that game too, in an like another amazing way of a football game to end. Um, Win that game, and then it's like you're up 21 points or 17 points. Or you're up 17 points at halftime in the NFC Championship game. It's just like mind blowing for someone. It is so hard to accurately describe what it has felt like to be a Lions fan to people who don't get it. Even like you started watching a few years ago. It's my dad was bringing it up to me when they stopped by for Christmas. He's like, I don't think I've ever felt this way about a Detroit sports team since like the '97 Red Wings when they won their cup for the first time in
Right.
50 years or whatever it was back then, 30 years since they had won a Stanley Cup. He's like, it just doesn't happen like this. And there's so many years where I have stopped watching football by November, like middle of
Right.
December, maybe. Like, I don't think I can honestly point to another time where we even were in a playoff push. Like
Right.
last year was exciting because we made it all the way to the last week of the season where it was interesting. Like I don't even
Yeah.
it's wild to even like it's I can't even explain it to people who haven't been through like how can a team be so bad for so long and you still like enjoy watching them? It's like I honestly I don't know. I can't explain it to you. It just is. That's what. And so like I was sad to see this storyline. Looking back now, 2 weeks later, I can appreciate all the crazy like it is absolutely insane the movie that was the Detroit Lions in 2023 and beginning of 2024, right?
Yeah.
Like absolute movie. You got a rookie as a leading rusher, a rookie as a leading tight end receiver, a rookie as a leading defensive tackler. Like just the sheer just craziness that was this year. And a little part of me is sad because next year, if we do it all again, say we go all the way, the only thing that'll be like a first will be going to the Super Bowl, which means we have to do all of this again
Yeah.
and get to the Super Bowl next year to have that feeling again. Because if we win the playoff games, it'll be great. It'll be phenomenal. I'll still feel amazing about winning playoff games, but it's not going to be like beating Matt Stafford at home to win our first home playoff game in 30 years.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely. So I don't think there's it will never take down this year, right? Nothing will take down this year. Like the only way to go is up. Next year though, I think they're just gonna have targets on their backs, right?
hmm
Like
well, in the
the
schedule,
NFL saw finally what the Lions were.
the way the scheduling works too, which is another, I mean, this is getting into the minutia of the NFL, but you play other divisions, right? So we always play Green Bay, Minnesota, and Chicago twice. So there's 6 out of
Right.
our 17 games are against our division. And then you play one other division. I can't even remember which division we play next year. And you play all 4 teams in that division, right? The rest of your schedule is playing the other people who finished in the same place as you did in their division.
Oh,
So
interesting.
now we have to go play, because we won our division, we have to go play all the winners of the other divisions.
Gotcha. So we had to play the 49ers again, and the Chiefs again, and
It
Ravens.
it is it is we got to go back to San Francisco. We got to, oh, I think we
Yeah,
play the NFC West this time because Seattle's coming back home for the third year, coming to our house for the third year in a row.
gotcha.
So anyway, we got to play all those teams again. Oh yeah, again, and we play LA. The Rams come back to Detroit next year too. So it it just gets harder. It doesn't get any
It
easier.
just gets harder. And before we move on, because this is not just a sports podcast as much as
You're right.
now we want it to be. I did tell Kayla after the Chiefs won because I watched that game. Man, can you imagine the Lions win this game and we end the season the same way we started
Mm-hmm.
with a Lions versus Chiefs game? How poetic
Wrap it in a full
that would have
circle.
been, you know? Like, man, what a game that would have been. Uh, Boy, howdy, what a season. I'm glad that I'm a fan. I'm glad that I'm watching. Glad that Ben Johnson's coming back. Like, it was nice to hear him say, like, he had unfinished business in
Yeah,
Detroit. Like, he's got things he's not ready to move on from yet.
that softened the blow a little
Uh,
bit that next day of being able
yeah,
to see that and be like, okay, all right, we can do
yeah.
this again.
He's got ideas. They've got ideas. So, anything else on the Lions? Any other final thoughts?
The Detroit is hosting this year's draft. So at the end of April,
Yeah,
the draft is going to be downtown Detroit. So I'd like to get down there, even if I don't go into the draft, because honestly, I've always thought this going into the draft sounds kind of miserable because like you wait for out. You have never watched NFL football to know what like watching the NFL draft is.
right.
But even so, on Thursday night of that week is the first round. The Lions have one pick, and that lasts from 7 to almost midnight. And the Lions
Yeah,
now have the fourth to last pick in that round because we made it so far. So like
right.
you go to the draft to sit there and watch 28 other teams pick before you.
Yeah,
And it's like that sounds miserable. And like Friday and Saturday are like guys you've never even heard of, and like
right.
so. But what will be cool is downtown's going to be pumped to the nines. There's going to be every
I think,
sort of media member, every sort of fans flying in. Like it's going to be pumped to the
oh,
nines.
for
It'd be
sure.
really neat to just be downtown while the draft is happening.
Yeah, I think you, me, and Kevin make our way down there at some point that week and have an evening down there. We should plan something to do that.
Kevin's not going to be able to leave his apartment for a week, so I think we'll have to go rescue him somehow.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, other than that, how else have you guys been doing? It's been a while.
It's been
What's new in your world?
uh it's been good. It's been busy. Um Katie just got a new job, which is pretty cool. Um
Oh, shit.
yeah, so she's moving to a different school
That's cool.
district. She's teaching 5th grade. She's never taught 5th grade before, so she's a little bit nervous about teaching older kids.
Um,
Katie's a kindergarten teacher at
yeah.
heart, so
She's moving away from, is she moving to like a what's the way, I don't want to say this offensively, a better school district?
yes, district-wise, yes.
Okay.
The school is still technically a Title I school, but it's in Birmingham School District. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so it's a better school district. And she still gets to work with kids that are of higher need. So, it's kind of a win-win
Okay.
from that facet. Um and so that's been cool but also stressful like this week alone. So she had interviews, she's worked late, worked early, worked late again like 3 days this week. Um just been crazy busy, crazy stressful. Um I have a question for you cuz it came up this week and I made a note on my phone. Ben and Will are in an interesting spot. Will is
Okay.
grown enough now that he's a full kid. Like
Yeah.
he started saying no recently and going no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
and shaking his
yeah.
head. Like Did Grayson ever copy Korra?
Um, a little bit, but he's doing it more so now.
Mm.
Um, as like just over 2 because in the last probably month, his speech has just completely shot through the roof.
Yeah.
So he's mimicking everybody now. Um, but with that being said, I mean, he would like yell when Cora would yell, or he would say no. Or like if she like I don't know, spun in a circle, like he would start spinning in a circle, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It,
Um,
I
yeah,
referred to it when I was thinking about this as it's not necessarily copying, right? Because I don't think Will like does exactly what Ben does every time, but it's almost like monkey see, monkey do. I
yeah,
that's what it feels like, where it's like he won't, he's not mimicking Ben, he's not like doing it to be annoying or anything like that. Not that he would know how to do that to begin with, but
right.
it's like monkey see, monkey do. So like if I say, Ben, it's time to go get in the shower, and Ben goes, no, right? Will stop, process it for a minute, and then go, no, and shake his head, right? And it's like, you don't even know what's going on, kid. You don't even, this isn't,
Yeah.
but it's monkey see, monkey do. He sees Ben do something, he's like, oh, then I should do it, you know?
Yes.
Ben climbs up on the couch into our big window in the living room. Will follows him right up and climb, like,
Yep.
they,
Yeah.
everything that Ben is doing, Will has to do next. And it's just like something that's
Yeah.
really started to take off in the last like week or so. Which is cute, very cute to look at, but at the same time,
He's he, he's what, 17 months?
he
A year and 5 months?
year and 5 months. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thinking back because Grayson's 2 years and a month. So that was only like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy in like 5 months you're going to have or in 7 months, a 2-year-old.
And a 4-year-old.
So yeah, I
It's
mean
gonna be wild.
definitely yeah. Like thinking back 6 months ago, yeah, that's exactly what's going like Cora was climbing up on the back of our couch and Grayson's following her right up there, like on the back of the couch, walking across it. Like,
Yep.
yeah, definitely.
It makes me Ben is a wild child. I mean, that is, Cora is too. Ben is, he's full on boy is the only way. And I hate stereotyping by gender because like it's not always accurate and that's not how things go. But Ben, the only way you can describe him, like he recently has taken to just jumping off the couch onto the floor, just jumping off.
Yeah.
And it just makes me so nervous because Will's gonna do the
Oh,
same
for sure.
thing, and he's so much smaller, and I have to literally like hold him back from these things.
I tell you what, we're nervous of that. Cora's always done that. She calls it cannonballs. So
Yeah.
she'll pile up pillows and blankets and cannonball into the couch, and Grayson does the same thing. But when my nephew was right around 2, he just jumped off of his rocking chair and broke his thigh bone.
Oh,
Yeah.
ugh.
So like, I don't know what's that. That's not your femur, is it? Right? Is
Yeah.
that the thigh bone?
Yeah, femur's the thigh
Yeah.
bone.
So he was 2 and he broke it. So like, here's a 2-year-old just learned how to walk, kind of using their legs a little bit more, and is in a full leg cast. So we've always been very cautious about like the jumping,
The thing,
even though it doesn't seem like it sometimes.
it's hard because you live with this all the time and forever. But the just general permanent anxiety of being a parent is ridiculous. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's ridiculous. It's all the time, like thinking about that all the time about
Yeah.
yesterday. Will went to climb up the couch, slipped, fell back, bonked his head on the floor. Okay. He cried. Katie held him. It was fine. Moved on.
Yeah.
He was snoring overnight and then like kind of like talked in his sleep a little bit, right? And Katie texted me, I was
Yeah.
playing video games. Katie texted me and she goes, he's being weird. And immediately I was like, oh, he had a concussion. We let him fall asleep. This is like,
Yeah.
this is going to be, of course not. He was fine. He was fine for like
Right.
an hour before he went to bed after that moment. But it's just the constant anxiety like that of like, Ben's going to jump off and break his arm. Like Will's going to follow
Yeah.
him up there. And it also transitioned into another part that makes us even a little bit more, whatever, everything's hard. Making it even harder is like now we have to explain to Ben that he can't do something because it's a bad example for his brother, right?
Yeah,
And that's challenging because like
it's tough.
one, Ben does not value that at all. That is not a valuable thing for Ben, right?
Right.
Like he's just trying to play and have fun. And two, Ben's been able to have basically carte blanche in our house as long as it doesn't break something or
Mhm.
throw it at the TV forever, right? Like
Yeah.
as long as you are, because being the oldest child, he can figure out what feels safe to him, well enough. Obviously, we've put in guardrails and, like, but that
Right.
explanation is, hey, you can't do that because you'll hurt yourself. That's like a fine thing. Now it's like, hey, I know that when you put the nugget cushion down and you want to jump off the ottoman onto the nugget cushion, that is fine for you. That is like you could do that all
Right.
day and it would be fine. And honestly, it'd be worth it for me because then you're getting all your energy out. That would be great.
Yeah.
But it's a bad example because if Will does it, he'll hurt himself. And
Yeah.
it's like it's not valuable for Will. It's not something I want to tell Ben not to do because he technically he can do it, right? But
Right.
now there's this extra set. So it just makes it that much harder to keep adding more things in and trying to explain it. And obviously this is all little kid stuff and eventually we'll get to a point where it's like Ben will be telling Will not to do something because he'll hurt himself, right? And like this will start to, but
Yeah.
right now in this moment, I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, man, this is just adds one more layer on top of all of it.
Yeah. Ugh, it's awful. It is tough. It's tough when they, especially because the younger one just so bad wants to be involved, right? And
Just
just
wants
wants
to,
to do and play and
just
just
wants to do everything, right? He just,
yeah.
and it's, we've talked about this before. Ben got to develop his own personality. Cora got to develop her own personality based off like what they were doing and how they were.
Yeah.
Will's personality is following Ben, right? Like that's what he wants to.
Yeah.
That and being a Velcro baby. Those are his two personality traits.
Right, right.
Um, and so it just is. It's so different, and that's it. It's not even more hard. It's just different. It's just different hard. Everything's
Yeah.
always different hard.
Oh, for sure. I think that that's where we benefited with being able to put Grayson in a daycare.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because now he has that separation, right? Where he is with kids literally his age for 3 days a week for 7 hours, a day, 6 hours a day. So he's able to kind of get out that kind of destructive energy in a closed, safe environment with the
Yeah.
other children his age where they can't jump off of couches, but they can jump off of like a foot high box.
Right.
Like, so that's definitely been helpful. But yeah, they're at that point where Will just he's gonna want to do, and then I think it's gonna be weird and hard when Ben goes off to school full time, and Will kind of has that thought process of
Yeah.
where's my other one, where's my other half, where's my other guy that I'm with a lot, and who do I have to mimic at that point?
Yeah. And it's gonna be. We're gonna see. So we send. So Ben went half day preschools, right? And it's only 2 days, half a day, right now, for a 3-year-old preschool. 4-year-old preschool has now been changed to all day, all week, 5 days a week, all day,
Oh wow,
because of
wow,
the new pre-K Ready for All initiative that's going in here in Michigan. And we don't know what we're gonna do. Some of the schools still offer what they call multi-age half days, but those are 3 and
mm,
4-year-olds together, right? And if Ben's a little bit too old, like
right,
if most 4-year-olds are in full day and Ben's like one of 2 4-year-olds, he's gonna be not getting what he needs from preschool being with 3-year-olds, right? So we're gonna have to make that decision here fairly soon. But luckily, Katie getting a job in the district that we want to send Ben to school at,
yeah,
we would ideally she would at least be in the school with him. So
right,
we'll see. Those will be tough decisions that come along here fairly soon. But yeah,
yeah.
life is nuts and crazy.
Oof, ain't that the truth?
So tell me, how was camp?
It's Oh, buddy, it was camp. It was great. We went to camp last weekend. It was a blast. It's always the winter camp is a quick weekend. You get there on a Friday, kids get there at like 4 p.m. on that Friday. Kind of go right into programming, and then everybody's out of camp by 11 on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it's, you get there, you have dinner, you have opening campfire, you go into programming, then the next day it's just full on like open activities, doing things like that. A dance, wrap up the night, and then the next morning you're off. You're packing your bags and you're going back home with your parents.
Crazy.
So it's nonstop. In winter camp, if you've never heard me talk about Special Days before on the podcast, Special Days is a camp that is geared towards, well, it's a children's oncology camp, so it's pediatrics oncology. So the camp is set for children, patients, and survivors, as well as their siblings, so that everybody can have a normal camp experience, but they all have something in common. Um, in the summer, there's 2 weeks that are separated, 1 week for the patients and survivors, and 1 week for the siblings. At winter camp, they're all mashed together for a weekend. Um, so last winter, we had maybe 30 campers, 40 at the most. This year, we had 96 campers come to camp this winter. And my village, the ages are split up into villages. I had 25 14 to 18-year-olds in my group. Um, so it's pretty wild, pretty nonstop for a weekend, but it was very good. It's always good to get back to camp.
It's awesome.
Excited to go. Came home with the camp crud that everybody gets.
Of course. It's going back
Yeah.
around. I've dodged it a little bit so far, but I've definitely felt less than 100% this week, and I'm like, man, can't we barely survived Christmas? Cannot go back to getting sick again just
Yeah.
a month later.
It's crappy. I mean, I don't really ever really feel sick a whole lot of times, but this week I'm like, oh, I feel coffee and gunky. Grayson went to the doctor's today. The last couple weeks, the last month, he's been like really whiny at night. Like he'll wake up in the middle of the night and just start crying for Kayla.
Oh yeah.
So he'll wake up and just be like, "Mommy, Cora," like just crying, and you give him a bottle and he goes back to sleep. And he does that like 5 times a night. He's up like 5 times a night now.
Ooh.
It's awful. He went to the doctor's today for his 2-year-old checkup. Doctor looked in his ears and he's like, he's got a double ear infection.
Oh my gosh.
And we were like, oh, like he didn't have any signs other than the
Yeah.
sleep, like crying, like no fever. Not he had like a runny nose, but he wasn't like pulling at his ears or anything. But yeah, the doctor's like, he's got a double ear infection. We're like, oh, well maybe that's it. He's like, and I think his 2-year-old molars are coming in too. And it's like awesome. So cool.
Fantastic. Love it. Beautiful. Amazing. Will is also
Yeah.
getting teeth, but we've had there was Ben was sick with something, and we took him to the doctor for it, and she looked in his ears and goes, "Is he having trouble sleeping?" And of course, my children don't sleep at all, so I was like, I mean,
Right.
not any more than normal. And she goes, "Oh, he's got an ear infection." I was like,
Yeah.
okay, no signs, no nothing. He was just a
Right.
little. I think he had I don't know. It was one of the times they had sickness that. But yeah, that was
Right.
we've had that before where it's just like, oh yeah, by the way, there's an ear infection in there. So
Yeah. This is the third double ear infection Grayson's had that we've caught since he's been born. So I think this boy is gonna get tubes in his ears eventually. I had him, Kayla had him, so I can only imagine that he'll need him.
y'all got to get tested for your
Um,
allergies.
Yeah, no kidding, no kidding. But yes, we've had that going on. Camp was great. Uh, Boy, howdy, I'm gonna run down real quick because it's been a long time. The last time we talked was 2 weeks ago, right? My car broke down. Uh, we
What?
blew out an oil seal. Yeah, our new car. This actually happened before the last time we recorded. We blew out an oil seal in the car. So I drove Grayson to daycare one day. It kind of smelled funny. I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
cold, whatever. It was kind of right after we had the shitty snowstorms.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I back out of the parking spot, and it's just full of oil. Like the snow is just full of oil.
Oh no.
I was like, oh my God. So I drive back home. Probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, you would know if it
And
overheated.
Right, Kayla's dad came and looked at it, he's like, "I think it's the seal, and it's the one seal that I can't fix on this car because we have to drop out, like, the transmission in order to get to it." I was
Oh,
like, "Crap." So, we had to take it into the shop and got that fixed. Basically what happened was it was so cold and the water condensation condensed within the system that it plugged a hole for the release of the fumes, and it just backed and
popped
exploded
it
out
right
of
off.
this seal. Yeah. So we got that fixed. It was very annoying. Cora, yeah, that's what annoying. Cora's fully potty trained now. We're out of
Yeet.
diapers. We have her sleeping without, in underwear or without underwear, depending on how she's feeling.
Yeah.
Um, but no diapers. The other night I like almost cried in the middle of the night because she got up and I heard her. So I woke up, and to get to our bathroom, you have to cross in front of our bedroom door. She gets up and I just see her bob across into the bathroom, flick on the light switch, go to the bathroom by herself, and then comes into our bedroom and says, "Mom or Daddy, I want Mommy to come sleep with me." But like usually she comes into my bedroom and I make her go to the bathroom, but she just was like, "Nope." I gotta ran to the bathroom, went by herself. I was like,
You
"Gosh,
done it.
you're
You
a
done
little
did it.
human." Uh, so that's really cool. And Grayson is like full blown talking, like having conversations. I mean, they're still not full on sentences,
Yeah.
but like we're to the point now where there's not much we can't comprehend from him, which is amazing. Him being this little tiny human, crazy,
I mean, it's
crazy.
insane. Katie and I have friendly disagreements all the time about whether Will's a toddler yet or not. And he's like, no, he's still a baby. I'm like, Kitty, he talks. Like he's not.
Yeah,
He talks and he walks. He's not a baby anymore. He's a toddler. Uh,
yeah,
so um, he's that one's getting more teeth. So that's my
is
life.
he?
That's just that is.
Yeah.
There's no fun ways about it. He's just a menace. So
Yeah, they're at tough ages and there's just so much going on in their little brains all the time that it's mind-blowing. Cora's being so defiant at night. She just like is fighting going to sleep every night. That's a pain in the butt. But other than that, she's generally a delightful human being to be around. She's so funny and so much fun. And Grayson's just so kind and sweet. But they're growing up and it's weird. It's very weird.
it is so strange. Ben and is getting better. Ben and I are getting better, but um it is it's still so I want to do what I want and I don't understand why I can't
Yeah.
do what I want all the time. And so just having that conversation concept like you don't always just get whatever you want just cuz you want something. At TV is this big battle because he wants to watch TV and trying to explain to him like just because you want something and he's big enough now that like he'll go find the remotes. He knows so my if
Yeah.
you turn on my PlayStation it turns on our TV cuz it's like smart connected.
Right.
And so now he knows if he can't find the TV remotes, he'll find my PlayStation controller and try and turn on the PlayStation controller. So I have to hide all the PlayStation controllers and the remotes and it's just ridiculous. But getting better, working through it. It's just busy all the time, just constantly busy, and that's just what life is.
It's just what life is until you take a vacation and, hope that that's fine.
Yeah,
Uh, I constantly, like, before we actually move on to, our 5 minutes of our normal topic that we were going
yeah.
to talk about, um, every once in a while I think back, like, man, do you remember, like, my brain every once in a while hits the thing of, like, oh, come summer, I'll have more time to do things because, like, there'll be time off or whatever. I'm like, but there's not. Like, I'm a working
No,
adult human being. There's no summer break, for me. Not, I'm not a teacher, so I don't have a summer break or whatever it may be. Uh, which teachers deserve a summer break.
agreed.
Uh, but like, I just that mind every once in a while something pops in. It's like, oh, in summer I'll have more time. I'm like, no, you're still working 40 hours a week, bud. Like, you're still got a full-time job in the summer.
The only thing I thought of the other day, I was outside at like 7:30 at night, and it's been a little bit warmer here the last couple like days,
Yeah.
and it was like 50 degree or like 40 degrees outside, and it was like I got a little like preview of like, oh yeah, during the summertime, I can go out in the backyard after the kids are asleep and like I can clean up the yard, I can swing my golf club, I can listen to music, like and be outside versus now it's like, okay, I go from my desk downstairs, then the living room with the kids to putting them to bed
Yeah.
to the couch upstairs or back down here. Like I don't have any other outside like places to blow off steam.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's tough, but it's coming around.
It's
Spring's gonna
getting
be
there.
here.
It's getting there.
According to that groundhog, it'll be here sooner rather than later.
The groundhog's
Who
never
knows?
right, so I don't. Oh, we're supposed to get snow again next week in case you haven't noticed. So
God damn it. I'm so sick of it.
almost there.
We're almost there. All right. Let's talk about real quick connecting with our partners because we have children that don't sleep
That's yes.
and we're parents. So I feel like as parents, a lot of our time is focused on our kids, right? So we don't have much time, at least in my household, and I'm assuming your household,
Yeah.
to spend time like we used to with, you know, our wives. And I thought about this the other day because Kayla and I were just like up talking, and the only time that could happen is at like 10:30 at night because that's when our kids were asleep. And it made me realize that it's so tough for us to stay connected, um, as a couple. It's just tough to do that because
Mm-hmm.
our kids need so much attention, and I'm at work all day. She works in the evening. That it's tough to really kind of have those moments of connection. So my thought was, how do you and Katie kind of make time for each other and have just conversations like you used to before kids, you know?
So it's funny. You texted me this yesterday. I talked to Katie about it a little bit today, and I'm talking to her while I'm standing at the counter eating dinner. Katie is sitting at the table with the kids eating dinner because our table is covered in stuff and I didn't feel like moving it.
Yeah.
And which is the most parent thing I can think of. Um, and I brought it up and I was like, "Yeah, this is what we're talking about tonight." And we both kind of sat for a minute. And we're just like, "We don't right now. We just don't." I like it sounds.
Yeah.
It would be so hard to explain to somebody who just started dating somebody else that like, "Hey, just not really gonna have conversations or connect with this person for large chunks of time." Um,
Yeah.
but if I run through a normal night, um, and like for you guys, you don't connect until 10:30 because your kids go to bed so late. Our kids go to bed early, right? Like they're asleep most of the time by 7:30. But the problem is Katie goes to bed when the kids go to bed because Katie has to wake up
Right.
at 6 a.m. to make lunches and get her lunch together, make coffee, get her work stuff together, get everything out the door. And that's when Katie leaves by like 6:45 every morning. Um, so it's like we have like 15 minutes between like, all right, both kids are down, Will's laying in our bed, like, and most of the time Will doesn't stay asleep for very long, like he doesn't sleep for long chunks of time,
Yeah.
especially at the beginning of the night. He gets better as the night goes on, but at the beginning of the night we're lucky if we get 30 minutes without him waking up again. um and it's like we get these 15 minutes to have a brief conversation. I mean, yesterday I did like our monthly finances for January, and I like was trying to walk Katie through it, and we were doing it while we were getting the kids ready for bath and shower time. Like
Yeah.
that's what we have. That's like a terrible budgeting conversation. The only time we have time to do it is like while we're also parenting the kids. And so
Right.
it's it's not something that we're like, oh, we're never going to connect it. We still try and find moments wherever we can get it, right? Like,
Yeah.
and trying to take those 15 minutes to,
Yeah.
to connect a little bit. But like, honestly, that's all we get. And so it's not, it will get easier like one day, fingers crossed, Will's not going to sleep in our bed, and there will be time.
Right.
So what Katie and I used to do, especially when it was Ben. So, as you and all of our listeners know, I'm a video gamer. Um, but we would always try and make like a weeknight, which is like our night together, right? Where we'd watch a show or
Yeah.
a comedy special on Netflix or whatever, or find something to do together on that one night. And now that we have kids, we don't even screw having a night. We haven't watched a TV show in like 3 years because
Yeah.
like we don't really have the TV on during the day, and then come nighttime after the kids are asleep, Katie goes to bed, and it's like
Yeah.
that's our time. That's kind of it. So, and even we've tried to stay up to like Katie will be like, no, I'm gonna stay up tonight. We'll watch a show. We get interrupted by kids. We get interrupted by somebody waking up, somebody needing food, somebody. It's just not a lot of time right now, and we'll get back there. It's not like that; those days are gone forever. We'll get back to days where okay, now we have a day for us together, and like as the kids get older and do more things. But like even I've talked about this before, but like with Katie's mom being our daycare essentially, right? Like with Katie's mom being watching the kids during the day, she's also our main babysitter. So
Yeah.
during like nights and weekends, we try and give her like that time off because she's with our kids all day every day.
Right.
So we don't even really like, and on the flip side, we're not seeing the kids that much during the week because they're at Katie's mom's all day. And so we want to
Yeah.
spend time with the kids too. So it's even hard to try and prioritize like I mean, we've been trying to go to a movie theater for, I swear to God, a year and a half. We've been saying, hey, we want to see a movie, whatever movie it is, just a movie.
Right.
And we just can't do it. We just can't get to it because like it's just not even just logistics, but like a movie's 4 hours essentially. You're gone for 4 hours. So you got to, plan, all right, we got to make sure the kids are, busy for 4 hours. You got to get them stuff to do. And then that's basically like half of a work day. And so,
Yeah.
if they go to Katie's mom's, they've been at Katie's mom's all week, and now what we're gonna ask her to do overtime, 4 hours overtime on the weekend, like
Right.
so it's it's just challenging. We just don't really have a lot of time right now, and we'll get back to it. Neither of us are at like I don't want to sound insensitive, but like neither of us are worried about it. Like we're not at that point where like
Yeah.
this is what it is at this moment in time, in this moment in life, and we'll just have to like when we have time we'll add that back in. But like it's a hard reality of being a parent, of like you just got to put the kids above yourself and your marriage for a little bit, and you know uh that is what it is, especially at this age.
Yeah. Yeah. They're so needy that it definitely is hard to break them away from that to have those moments. We kind of do the same thing where we talk a lot at our counter.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like our kitchen is where we do business. Like it seems like a lot of our just like big important talks happen in the
Yeah,
kitchen while we're standing around. Sometimes we're eating dinner, sometimes we're just standing there
yeah,
because it's got good lighting and like the moment I know that we both sit on the couch, we're either gonna be in a phone or something's gonna be on the TV. Um, so it's definitely, trying to take those moments around dinner time or again while we're trying to make dinner at the same time, something important happens during the day. Kayla and I need to talk about it, but then we have Cora standing right at the counter going, "Mom, Dad, look at this, look
yeah.
at this, look at," and we're like, "Okay, give me 2 minutes, kid. Like, give me 2 minutes, and then you can have us." Um, so definitely those moments. I mean, I try to push for like date nights as much as I can, or something like that along those lines. Like, I ask a lot, like, "Do you think we can go do XYZ one weekend night?" You know, and see if somebody can watch our kids, whether it be her parents or my mom. And so far, I mean, it hasn't really worked out much recently because it's just been like weather sucks and there's not really much to do.
Yeah, you
Uh,
did have your birthday plans basically canceled by the weather, so
just God, everything destroyed. But we still like kind of like you said, we stand around and we talk when we can. And now Kayla and I do watch shows together. Like if there is a show
Mm-hmm.
going on, we'll watch it together. Like right now, it's True Detective Night Country.
Yeah.
Like Sunday nights, we're watching that. Um, before when right after it started, we watched all of the first season of True Detective together. We stayed up late and watched that together and talked and theorized and so like it's the moments like that. But again, that didn't happen till 10:30 till 1 in the
Yeah.
morning. That kind of time frame. Um, but it's those little moments still that kind of made it feel nice. Whether
Yeah.
even though it's at 10:30, if it's a typical night like tonight. If Kayla were to go lay with Cora to get her to sleep, Cora's still awake, Grayson's asleep. But if Kayla goes and lays with Cora, chances are Kayla will fall asleep, and then
Yeah.
she's in for the night, and I'll be up watching a movie or writing or scrolling my phone or something. Um, but it happens, at camp. At camp, Kayla's whole role is to take care of our kids, while I take care of campers. Now, at this facility at camp, we're actually in the same building. We were just in different rooms because of space. We brought my niece along to help with the kids, so they were all in one room. I was in my own room. There was one night, it was like 1 in the morning. It was like Friday night, the first time we got there. Kayla texted me. She's like, "Hey, I have to pee. I have to pee. Can you keep an ear out for the kids?" And I happened to be awake, and I looked at it, and we stood out in the hallway and talked for like 10 minutes after like we were, after she went to the bathroom, and since I was awake, we just sat and talked, and we hadn't talked that really at all that day. So it was nice to just like have those moments to connect. Um, but yeah, it definitely seems like right now the time that we can is, late at night or around the kitchen, or if the kids are in the bathtub, we can like sit and talk for a few minutes as
Yeah.
we clean or whatever it might be, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so doing things like that, and then I'm trying to be better about realizing the things that she does and has an interest in, right? And in those moments of connections, trying to talk about that or what's going on in her world. So like in April, we're going to see a live uh, production of one of the podcasts she listens to. I
Neat.
got her tickets for her birthday to go see that.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm like super excited to go take her to that. I'm super excited because it's like her favorite podcast. I'm excited to like have her be there and see it live. But then we're also going to see Hosier in May. I got tickets to go see Hosier.
Nice.
Um, she absolutely loves Hosier. So like getting to be able to do those things for her also like helps too. Not to like buy her love, but like it's just like the hey, I know this is something that's really meaningful to you. I want you to go do these things.
Well, you're a gift. What is that? Your love language is
Yes,
gifts,
yes,
so it makes sense.
it is.
Gift
Yes, it
giving,
really
right?
is. Absolutely. So, it's tough. Like you said, it's tough to find the moments and it's not gonna happen forever. But we do talk a lot like, man, I miss you. It seems like we haven't really talked in a long time, but hopefully soon we can,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully our kids might get on a normal schedule or whatever it may be. Thankfully, is also days during the week where I work from home while she works from home, so we may be able to like sit and have lunch together, or just kind of. I find even just sitting in each other's presence just feels good too.
Sure.
Whether we're both just in the living room scrolling on the phone, or I'm watching a movie and she's just laying on the couch, falling asleep, whatever it might be. Just being near each other helps too. Even though we're not saying anything, just being right next to each other is a good way for us to continue to build that connection, I guess.
For sure.
You know?
I love it. Always find time for each other, no matter how much.
Yeah. Even if it's a little thing, just saying, hey, I love you. I miss you. I hope you're doing all right. As best as you can be. It's tough out there. It's
It
tough to be a
is.
parent
It's hard.
in
It's
this
always
world.
hard.
It's always hard. Um, anything else?
Let's
Any
let these
other
people get
connection
out of here.
things? Let's get out of here. It's late. Um, thank you all so much for listening. We really appreciate you. If you haven't already, give us a like, a comment, subscribe, rating, review, all that good stuff. It really helps us out. We continue to get like more listens every week, which is amazing. Um, so definitely we appreciate everything that you all do. We're gonna try to, I think, do a few more things out there in the social media world, hopefully soon. Yeah, but thank you all so much. We appreciate you, and thank you so much for playing Ant for having us on the podcast network.
Go follow us on social media. We're at Big Dad Energy Pod on Twitter and Facebook. Big Dad Energy Podcast on Instagram and YouTube. Go find us on YouTube. Big Dad Energy Podcast.
Tube.
The Tube. We post the last few episodes on there. This one will be posted on there. Go follow us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff that you do. If you have the opportunity to watch us in a visual medium, it's out there now. So feel like watch us on YouTube, watching us talk back and forth, go do it. And thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate it every week. For both of us, I'm Jared Schmansky.
I'm Joe Lopez.
Remember, click your tongues twice before you use them.
This has been a production of Planet Ant Podcast, powered by Pinecast.